Incredible portrait revealed. Single dad's touching reaction at hospital transforms lives forever. Tom's heart raced as he sat in the sterile hospital room, hands clenched around the armrests of the worn chair. His eyes remained glued to the small figure lying on the bed, the heart monitor's rhythm a haunting echo of uncertainty. Lily, his vibrant 8-year-old, was still, a patchwork of bandages against the stark white sheets, and Tom couldn't help but choke back tears. Every life story was woven with struggle. His had led him here, teetering on the edge of heartbreak. His world had always centered around her, the bedtime stories, the laughter filling their cozy home just outside St. Louis, and dreams whispered under stars. As he juggled 2 jobs, grueling hours at the warehouse and late shifts at the diner, there was an unwavering belief that hard work would pave the way for Lily's brighter future. But life had thrown a curveball, and the relentless grief enveloped him like a heavy fog suffocating hope. The hospital buzzed with activity, but Tom felt isolated, trapped in a protective bubble of fear. Families swept by, their laughter and conversations a sharp contrast to his silence. Perhaps they couldn't see the shadows that clung to his heart, the unyielding worry and nagging dread that he might lose the one light he held dear. He could feel his grief morphing into the community's sorrow, as friends and neighbors, steadfast in love and support, rushed to their side with meals and prayers. Their kindness was a balm, yet the darkness remained. Then came the suggestion of art therapy, an idea that initially struck him as sheer folly. How could paint and canvas reach the depths of Lily's pain? But a friendly art teacher, her eyes bright with passion, gently urged him to join his daughter in creating something magical together. After a moment of hesitation, he relented, hoping it would distract them both from the weight pressing down on their hearts. As they picked up the brushes, colors splattered across the canvas, an unspoken connection rekindled between them. Each stroke felt like an embrace, a release of emotions he had long buried. The tension in the room began to lift, the air charged with warmth and creativity. With every splash of paint, the chaos outside faded away, and they ventured into a world of memories and dreams. They painted smiles, shared joy, and through it all, laughter broke free like sunlight through clouds. And then, as their masterpiece neared completion, it transformed into more than just a portrait. Tom recognized the beauty within their shared struggle. It was a vivid depiction of love, resilience, and the hope that sparked in even the darkest times. The excitement reverberated through the small hospital wing, drawing attention from other families and staff. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As whispers of their artwork spread like wildfire on social media, Tom felt the collective gaze of curiosity and admiration. The spotlight was sudden and overwhelming, a heavy cloak mixed with hope and fear of judgment. The supportive voices wrapped around him like a warm hug, igniting a conversation around the challenges faced by single fathers. Did he dare to embrace this newfound recognition? Or would he retreat to shield himself and Lily from the possibility of disappointment? The answers loomed ahead, uncertain, as Tom stood on the precipice of a transformative choice, his heart pounding with anxiety, and the flicker of hope intertwined as the journey was just beginning. Tom sat in the hospital room in a haze, the canvas still vibrant with colors that felt almost surreal against the sterile surroundings. The painting represented so much more than just a moment. It was a testament to his and Lily's resilience. But as he looked at it, a knot of uncertainty twisted in his stomach. Was he ready for what came next? The artist community online was buzzing about their work. Comments rolled in, each filled with praise and encouragement. Friends shared it, their words weaving a tapestry of support that wrapped around him tightly. "This is so inspiring," one comment read. Another said, "You are a wonderful dad." Each notification made his heart swell, yet doubt crept in like the evening shadows. He adjusted in his chair, glancing back at Lily. Her chest rose and fell rhythmically, a reminder that she was still with him, He thought of their life before the accident, picnics at the park, movie nights under blankets, her relentless curiosity about the world. Would they ever return to that? Had he done enough to fight for her now? Days went by, filled with visits from friends and strangers alike, each wanting to hear their story. The art therapy had been a turning point, but now Tom was thrust into the spotlight. People were captivated by their painting, the love and vulnerability it depicted. It felt strange. Yes, he had fought hard, but did they really see the struggle beneath the surface? Despite the flurry of attention, the hospital walls felt like a cage, leaning in closer with every passing hour. The laughter of children outside juxtaposed sharply with the beeping monitors. He wanted to be out there with Lily, chasing butterflies and blowing dandelions, not stuck in this room where time seemed to stand still. In a quiet moment, the art teacher visited him again. Her name was Clara, a vibrant woman with a contagious smile. "Tom," she said, her voice warm but firm, "what you both have created is more than just a portrait. It's a beacon of hope for others. You are giving them strength to face their struggles." "What if I'm not enough?" he replied, the words escaping before he could stop them. The honesty hung in the air between them. Clara placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are more than enough. Just being here for Lily is a powerful statement." The moment sparked something within him. Maybe he didn't have to do it all alone. Maybe this sudden attention could open doors, not just for Lily but for others who shared their pain. He envisioned a gallery, a place where stories could be shared, connecting families facing similar challenges. It wasn't just about them anymore. It was about building a community, fostering hope and healing. But would he have the courage to step forward? Determined, Tom picked up his phone. He opened a new post, fingers shaking slightly as he wrote, "We're not just painting, we're creating a movement." His heart raced as he hit send. Little did he know that single moment would initiate a wave far beyond anything he could ever anticipate. What awaited him on the other side? The sun peeked through the hospital blinds, casting stripes of light across Tom's face. He hadn't realized how much time had passed since his last post. The comments had exploded overnight. Notifications pinged repeatedly, creating a rhythm that both thrilled and terrified him. As he scrolled through the feedback, tears pricked at the corners of his eyes. "This is exactly what I needed today. Your story gave me hope." A wave of warmth filled his chest. People were responding, connecting with their journey. But with every heartwarming comment came a fresh wave of pressure. Could he really help them? Tom's fingers danced over the screen as he began to type again. "Thank you all for your love. It means the world to Lily and me." He hit send and took a breath. His instinct was to keep sharing, to keep connecting. "Hey, buddy." A familiar voice broke through his thoughts. It was Mike, his best friend from college. Mike stepped into the room, the weight of worry etched across his brow. "I had to come see you. Heard about the post. You're becoming quite the sensation." It was comforting to see a face from the outside world. Tom smiled weakly. "Yeah, it's strange. I never wanted this much attention. I just wanted to help Lily." "Dude, you are helping. You have no idea how many lives you're touching right now." Mike leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Let's talk about this gallery idea. I think it's amazing." "Do you think people would come? What if it's just, I don't know, a flop?" Doubt snuck back in, whispering its nagging taunts. "Think bigger. It's not just a gallery, it's a movement. You're giving people the chance to feel supported. They might end up finding their own voice through your and Lily's experience. It's not about success or failure. It's about inspiring others." Tom felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. Maybe Mike was right. Slowly he nodded, absorbing the possibilities. What if we had people share their stories alongside the artwork? Exactly. Let's put out a call for submissions. Use your platform to create a space where others can express themselves. You can build a community that resonates with real experiences. The thought sent a jolt of excitement through him. Tom closed his eyes for a moment, picturing the walls lined with colors and emotions, each piece a unique story, woven together by shared struggles. But just as he started to feel hopeful, a sobering thought hit him hard. What if he failed? What if no one showed up? "Hey, what's going on in that head of yours?" Mike noticed the change in Tom's expression, his concern deepening. I just don't want to let anyone down. If I do this, I'm going to be putting our lives out there in the open. Tom, Mike said softly, walking over and placing a hand on his shoulder. You're not just sharing your pain, you're sharing your strength. That's what people will connect with. Even if it's rocky at first, it will lead you somewhere beautiful. The warm reassurance settled in Tom's chest. Maybe this was exactly what he needed to do. It was time to step out from behind the canvas and grasp the larger vision he had for their lives. Taking a deep breath, Tom pulled out his phone once more. He began drafting a new post inviting others to share their stories, tears, triumphs, or anything in between. As he typed, an overwhelming sense of purpose began to wash over him, drowning out the echoes of doubt. But just as he hit send, the monitor beside Lily beeped irregularly. Tom froze, heart racing as he turned to see the nurses rush in. What was that? Is she okay? Panic sliced through him like a knife. As the room filled with activity, uncertainty loomed once more. Would he be able to hold everything together? The moment felt suspended, thick with fear and unknown. In the chaos, Tom wondered if he could keep fighting, not just for Lily, but for everyone watching and waiting for hope. Had he pushed too far too fast, and most importantly, would the surge of courage he felt be enough? Tom's heart raced, his stomach twisted into knots as the nurses swiftly attended to Lily. The beeping from the monitor grew more erratic, and for an agonizing moment, he felt unmoored. He wanted to scream, to push aside the nurses and demand answers, but all he could do was stand frozen, helpless. Tom, Mike's voice cut through his panic, urgent but steady. Focus on me, take a breath. Tom turned to Mike, eyes wide. What if something happens? I can't lose her. The thought of losing Lily was unbearable, like a weight pressing down on his chest. Look, they're professionals. They know what they're doing, Mike assured him, but stayed close, his presence a fragile anchor against the tide of fear. As the nurses worked, Tom's mind raced through a whirlwind of memories. Their late-night talks, laughing over takeout, and all the small moments that painted their life together. Each memory was a reminder of the love that consumed him, the love that fueled his determination to fight back and help others. Finally, the frantic movements began to calm. The monitors stabilized, returning to their rhythmic beeping. Relief washed over him, but it came with a fresh wave of exhaustion. He glanced at Lily, her face so peaceful amidst the chaos that surrounded them. A fragile hope sparked in his heart. Maybe they would get through this. He stepped closer to her bed, reaching for her hand. Please, Lily. Please come back to me. We have so much left to do. When no response came, Tom turned back to Mike, who watched him closely. What now? Tom asked, feeling a desperate need for direction. Now, you keep doing what you're doing. You're inspiring people. That fight in you, it matters, Mike replied, his tone firm. In the meantime, let's stir things up. Let's get that gallery idea out there. You should put together an official call for submissions. Share Lily's story and encourage others. Tom could feel the weight of Mike's words settle in his chest. While uncertainty still loomed, he couldn't deny the pull of potential. He imagined what it would feel like. The walls filled with stories, each one a testament to resilience. It ignited something deep within him. You really think people will respond? I know they will, just be honest. People connect with honesty. This is your chance to strike a chord, to let others know they're not alone. You'll be amazed at how many will rally around you, Mike said. Taking a deep breath, Tom stepped away from the bedside as the nurses carried out their tasks diligently. He needed focus, to reclaim a sense of purpose. He pulled out his phone again, his heart pounding as he typed out a post announcing the gallery, inviting others to contribute their stories. As he hit send, an unexpected warmth enveloped him. Whatever lay ahead, this was just the beginning. But just then, the silence shattered. A loud gasp echoed down the corridor, followed by hurried voices. Tom's heart sank as he turned to see a group of visitors rush past, faces stricken with fear. Something's wrong, someone's in trouble, a nurse shouted. Fear gripped Tom as he locked eyes with Mike. What now? Focus. Stay here with Lily. I'll check it out, Mike replied, his voice steady. No, I can't just sit here, Tom shot back, the weight of helplessness heavy on his chest again. He felt torn between staying by Lily's side and the instinctive pull to find out what was happening. Just as he started to move, a doctor rushed into Lily's room, and Tom's heart dropped. "Everything okay?" he croaked, desperation flooding his voice. But the doctor's expression gave nothing away. Somewhere in this wave of anxiety, Tom knew he couldn't just hope everything would be all right. He needed strength, clarity, and a plan. What if the gallery became a beacon, a way to channel everything he felt? Was he ready to carry the weight of so many stories? Would he be brave enough to document both the struggles and the triumphs? As he stood there, caught in the storm of uncertainty and resolve, one thought thundered in his mind. How could he keep fighting for Lily's light, for their dreams, while the world around them felt like it was crumbling? That question hung heavy in the air, leaving an uneasy silence that buzzed with possibility. Tom's pulse quickened as the doctor turned to him, expression guarded and unyielding. The chaotic atmosphere pressed down on him like a weight, threatening to crush his already frayed nerves. He could hear the distant murmurs of people outside the room, worry and fear mingling in the air like thick smoke. "Sir," the doctor finally said, drawing closer, "we need to monitor Lily more closely. We're moving her to intensive care." The words struck him hard. Intensive care. His voice shook, a fragile sound in the room filled with sterile efficiency. "What does that mean? Is she—" He couldn't finish. The fear clawed at his throat. "It's a precaution. She needs close observation, and we can provide the best care in that unit. I assure you we're doing everything we can," the doctor said, stepping back as nurses began to prep for the transfer. Tom felt Mike's presence beside him, a quiet support, his hand resting firmly on Tom's shoulder. They watched as the room filled with activity, nurses and doctors efficiently but professionally working. Tom's breath caught as he caught a fleeting glimpse of Lily, unconscious yet serene, her chest rising and falling with the steady rhythm of machines. "She has to wake up. She just has to," he murmured, desperation creeping back in. "Focus on the gallery, Tom. Remember why you started this. For her, for all those stories waiting to be told," Mike reminded him softly. Suddenly an idea sparked in Tom's mind like a flare. What if those stories could be more than just art? What if they held the power to change lives, to connect others in the same fight, just like he was fighting for Lily? He pulled out his phone again, fingers flying across the screen. "I can create a hashtag," he whispered, almost to himself. "Something that will connect everyone. Fight for light, to inspire hope. Anyone who has a story they can share, and maybe I can compile them into an exhibition after this." It felt like a lifeline, a purpose amidst the chaos. "Good thinking," Mike replied, encouragement shining in his eyes. "You just struck a chord, Tom. You have the heart and passion to make this resonate." As the nurses wheeled Lily's bed away, Tom stood frozen for a moment, watching them take her through the stark white corridors. The sterile atmosphere faded away as he thought of his gallery idea. Each story could be a candle in the darkness, a light that might shine on others facing their battles. His heart swelled with warmth as he realized he was not alone. There were others out there just like him, finding strength through shared experiences, turning pain into something beautiful. But then, a haunting fear crept back in. What if he couldn't sustain this energy? What if he couldn't find those stories? Would anyone care enough to share? The questions tumbled in his mind like loose marbles, each one heavier than the last. Was he too ambitious, hoping for something more than just a personal outlet? In the thick of uncertainty, just stepping into that new role felt monumental. Would sharing tragedy make a difference? As he swallowed hard, resolve flickered within him. If anyone could do this, it was him. He owed it to her, to everyone out there battling their storms. As he finished typing the first part of his post, a small vibration pulsed in his pocket. His phone buzzed with notifications and he glanced down. Dozens of likes and supportive comments started to fill his screen. Hope surged, leaving an indelible mark on his heart. This was only the beginning. They were all connected in this fight, and maybe, just maybe, there was a way through the darkness. Tom looked up to see Mike watching him, a knowing smile creeping across his face. Healing could come from loss, and fears could rally into something beautiful. But then, from down the corridor, a medley of voices, the chaotic sound of an emergency, the doctor, the seriousness in his voice. Tom's heart dropped again as he heard a name mentioned. "Wait, what about Lily?" he said, turning back to Mike, dread pooling in his gut. In a moment that could change everything, the hospital buzzed with urgency as they rushed down the line. What was happening now? And would it shake the fragile hope he had grasped onto so tightly? Tom's heart raced, the urgency and tension filtering through the air like a heavy fog. He pushed past Mike, a surge of instinct driving him forward. The sound of commotion escalated, footsteps pounding against the linoleum floors. He felt stranded, anchored to the spot by fear. "Lily, please be okay," he whispered, not sure if he was talking to her or pleading with the universe. He spotted a doctor stepping into view, the same stern expression etched into his face. It twisted Tom's stomach into knots, and he braced himself for whatever news was looming ahead. "Tom!" Mike called, but it felt muffled in the back of his mind. All he could think about was Lily. As he approached the gathering of doctors just outside a pair of double doors, he caught fragments of their conversation, words that sent ice through his veins. Critical condition, multiple complications. A nurse turned, meeting Tom's anxious gaze, her eyes brimming with concern. "Sir, you can't. I need to know what's happening. I have to be with her," he pressed, emotions bubbling to the surface. "Please, just wait here," she urged softly. "We're doing everything possible." Everything possible. The phrase hung heavily in the air, taunting him. The flickers of hope he had nurtured only moments ago were now cast into the uncertainty that loomed over Lily's fate. He felt like he was unraveling, threads of panic pulled tight and ready to snap. Tom could hardly breathe, and suddenly the world clicked back into focus. "Mike!" he called, spotting his friend stepping closer. "What do I do?" "Breathe," Mike instructed, matching the cadence of Tom's rapid heartbeats with calm. "Let's focus on your post. It's bringing hope to others, right?" Tom nodded, barely able to meet Mike's eyes. But what if it doesn't matter? What if... The question hung unspoken. "Then you fight." "Fight!" The word struck Tom like a bolt of lightning. He had the choice to retreat inward or to channel all this fear into something powerful. Inspiration sparked. He remembered the countless people who had shared stories of strength through their struggles. They were still out there, and none of them were fighting alone. "I'll reach out," Tom declared, determination flooding his veins. "I'll let them know what's happening with Lily." His fingers flew over the screen, typing an update. "Fight for light doesn't stop here. We are all warriors." He pressed post, watching it disappear into the ether. Each second ticked by painfully, the frantic pulse of the hospital around them matching the whirlwind of his thoughts. As comments rolled in, Tom's heart began to settle slightly. Messages of support poured in, words of encouragement from those who had faced their own battles, people who had been touched by Lily's story just as deeply as he had. "See?" Mike squeezed Tom's shoulder. "You're not alone, they're your backbone." But even in the moment, the fear clawed at him again. Was this what Lily would want? Would he be able to carry on this fight without her? Then suddenly a figure appeared at the doorway, the doctor who had been attending to Lily. Tom's breath caught in his throat. The man's expression was harder to read than a foreign language. Tom leaned in, every fiber of his being focused on the man's next words. "Mr. Lane," he began, and the world froze around Tom, anticipation heavy in the air. "Is she going to be okay?" Tom blurted out, urgency filling his voice. "I need to discuss some critical information about her condition." Each word felt like stepping into the unknown. Would this be the moment that shifted everything for him? "What am I about to hear?" he thought, heart hammering against his chest. Rather than finding answers, had he simply opened up a whole new canvas of questions? The doctor's next words would be everything. Would they bring hope, or would they shatter the already fragile light illuminating Tom's path? Tom's stomach twisted tighter with every beat, anticipation coiling around him like a vice. He barely registered the doctor's white coat, the nurse's worried expression, or even Mike stiffening beside him. All he could focus on were the doctor's lips moving, the words drifting toward him, each one heavy with unspoken implications. "Lily's condition is serious," the doctor said, pausing as he assessed Tom's pale face. She's stable for now, but we need to prepare you for the possibility of further complications. Each phrase felt like a pebble dropped into a deep well, the echoes of uncertainty drowning out the flashes of hope Tom had clung to. Complications? His voice was barely above a whisper. What do you mean? Is she going to... Tom couldn't finish the sentence. The thought hung in the air, sharp and jagged. The doctor took a breath, his eyes kind yet resolute. Right now we're working on keeping her stable. Her injuries are extensive and we have to monitor her closely. It's too soon to say anything definitive about her long-term prognosis. Hope disappeared like smoke in the wind. Tom felt as if the ground beneath him had crumbled away, nothing but emptiness left to swallow him whole. He thought of Lily, the way she laughed, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about their dreams. Would he lose her? Panic gripped his chest. Suddenly Mike was at his side again, grounding him with a steady hand. "Tom, listen to me." His voice was firm, cutting through the haze of fear. "Right now, you need to stay focused on what's happening. She'll fight. You have to be her light." Tom nodded, though doubt lingered in his mind like a shadow. How could he be a light when everything felt so dark? But as he looked at the doctor and the nurses rushing in and out, he remembered something vital. Lily was a fighter, always had been, and if she could fight, then so could he. "Can I see her?" Tom managed to ask, voice trembling with desperation. "Not yet," the doctor replied gently, "but I'll come back as soon as I can. I promise." And with that the doctor was gone, leaving Tom standing at the edge of a cliff, watching the abyss swallow his hopes. Mike stood with him, but nothing could fill the void that had taken root in his heart. "We should keep the posts coming," Mike said, his disbelief evident but battling with a fierce determination. "Your followers want updates. They want to help." Tom clenched his fists, wrestling with the maelstrom of feelings inside him. What if they don't want to hear bad news? What if... "Then we focus on the good," Mike insisted, squeezing his shoulder. "You're connecting people who care about her, people who can rally around her in this fight. It's not just about your fear, it's about all of us. Let them support you, Tom." Each word struck a chord deep within him. This was about sharing the burden. Taking that leap into vulnerability could feel terrifying, but it also meant bringing people closer to Lily. "Okay," Tom said, his resolve slowly hardening. He pulled out his phone, fingers dancing over the screen. "A fight for light is bigger than us." As he typed, he remembered the faces of those who had supported them in the past, friends, family, even strangers who turned into almost like family over shared words. With every keystroke, he felt a flicker of strength reigniting within him, fueled by memories of laughter and love. Before posting, he paused, heart racing again as he thought about how he would tell the world about Lily's fight. Was it going to be uplifting enough? What if it scared them away? But he remembered her smile, the way it lit up the darkest days. He wanted that light to shine through consciously, gleaming with hope. Swallowing hard, he shared the update, feeling the weight of his community's collective energy thrumming beneath his skin. "Let's hope this connects us," he murmured, a prayer more than a statement, wishing for Lily's strength to shine through his words, offering a beacon in the darkness. "Tom," Mike said, his tone cautious but filled with urgency, "we just made a huge step forward. But listen, what if something changes? What if—" Tom's heart dropped again. What if everything changed? Just as he opened his mouth to answer, the heavy doors swung wide, and a nurse stepped into view, her face dark with urgency. "Mr. Lane, we need you immediately." An icy shiver traversed Tom's spine as adrenaline flooded his system. What now? With the question lingering in the air like a storm cloud, he rushed toward the nurse, each step echoing with the kind of dread that foretells life-altering moments. What lay ahead could shatter everything he thought he knew. Tom's breath hitched as he dominated the sterile hallways, the beeping machines and hurried footsteps blurring into a cacophony of dread. The nurse led him through darkened corridors, and each sharp turn intensified the anxiety that spiraled in his chest. What could be happening to Lily? As they approached a room, the nurse stopped and turned to him, compassion etched across her features. "You need to be brave, Mr. Lane. They're doing everything they can." Her words floated in the air like a fragile promise. He nodded, but bravery felt like a distant memory now. When the door swung open, the sight before him was both an overwhelming relief and a consuming fear. Lily lay in the hospital bed, small and still, surrounded by the cold glow of machines that pulsed rhythmically, like an echo of hope buried beneath the gravity of her situation. Her face was pale, and a network of tubes connected her to the world, each one a reminder of how fragile life had become. "Lily," he breathed, stepping forward cautiously. His heart pounded against his ribs, and it was a strange mixture of longing and despair that propelled him onward. She looked so peaceful, as if she were merely sleeping, yet the wires and monitors told a different story. He fought back tears, wanting nothing more than to feel the warmth of her hand in his. As he approached, he hesitated, feeling his emotional armor crack under the weight of fear. Pushing those feelings aside, he took her hand, squeezing it gently. It felt cold and lifeless, yet somehow stirring a spark of hope within him. "I'm here, Lily," he whispered, his voice trembling as he tried to infuse warmth into her cold fingers. "You're not alone. I'll be right here waiting for you." He closed his eyes, imagining the laughter they shared, the dreams they had painted together, vivid and bright against this dark canvas. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time blurred into the backdrop of his anguish. He spoke to her, recounting silly moments, their inside jokes. Everything he could think of to break through the silence. Each word was jammed with love, a lifeline in the vast void that surrounded them. Suddenly the faintest flicker caught his eye. Lily's eyelids fluttered, a minute movement but a moment that sent adrenaline coursing through him like wildfire. "Lily, baby, can you hear me?" Her brow furrowed slightly, a sign of struggle, but it was there, a fleeting hint of life. A nurse entered the room and gasped, rushing to monitor the readings. "Mr. Lane, please allow us to check her vitals." Tom's heart raced, caught between hope and a surge of panic. He stepped aside as the nurse asked him to give them space, but everything in him wanted to scream to hold her close, to reassure her she wasn't alone. They worked with precision, an exquisite ballet of calm amidst the storm of emotions swirling around Tom. He watched, barely breathing, as they took notes and adjusted lines. The steady beeping intensified, and hope pricked at Tom's heart. Moments felt like hours, each passing second heavier than the last. Then the nurse turned to Tom, her eyes brightening with unexpected excitement. "Mr. Lane, hold on. She's responding. Just keep talking to her." "Lily, I'm here," he said, voice desperately sincere. "I know you can hear me. Just keep fighting. Please don't leave me." Her fingers twitched slightly, a tremor that sent tears rushing down his face. Unexpectedly, his phone buzzed violently from his pocket, the brief intrusion pulling him from the heavy silence of the hospital room. It was a notification, messages flooding in under his bright Fight for Light post. Words filled the screen, each a note of hope, each an affirmation of faith from friends and followers rallying around Lily's fight. They believed in her. They believed in this journey. "Look at all these people, Lily," he said, glancing at the screen in awe. "They're with us. You have a whole army behind you." Before he could finish, the door swung open again, and Mike rushed in, his face a mosaic of anxiety and excitement. "Tom, what's happening?" I felt something shift. "She's fighting, Mike. She's responding." In that moment, it felt like hope had breathed life back into the room, chasing away the shadows of despair. "What if this is a sign?" Mike asked, stepping closer to the bed. Tom's heart pounded in his chest. Then this could change everything. As they both looked down at Lily, the world outside faded into the noise of buzzing phones and hopeful messages. The ground beneath their feet felt steadier, as if love was a force that could overcome anything thrown their way. But as they clutched onto this hard-won hope, the hospital's alarm suddenly blared, and Tom's heart dropped anew. What could that possibly mean? The harsh alarm cut through the air like a jagged blade, slicing through the delicate atmosphere of regained hope. Tom's heart dropped as the nurse's expression morphed from excitement to focused determination. "Stay back," she commanded, her voice steady yet urgent. Tom felt like he was anchored to the floor, his legs too heavy to move, his heart thundering like a drum in his chest. What was happening? He cast a wild glance at Mike, whose eyes mirrored his own fear. They both stood on the precipice of despair again, just when they had begun to taste a glimmer of possibility. The nurse's fingers danced over the controls, her expertise evident in how she swiftly adjusted the machines around Lily. Monitors beeped wildly, sharp notes like the fluttering wings of trapped birds. "We need to stabilize her vitals. This is a critical moment." Tom's mind raced. He wanted to scream, to push through the chaos, to tell Lily to hold on just a little longer. "You can do this, Lily. Stay with us." The words slipped out in a rush, desperate and raw. Mike gripped Tom's shoulder, tight and reassuring. "She's a fighter, Tom, remember that? We've been counting on her strength all along." The confidence in Mike's voice was a lifeline thrown in a turbulent sea, but Tom couldn't help feeling a tide of hopelessness rise again. The nurse worked with a focused energy, her brow furrowed in concentration. In the moments that felt like eternity, Tom watched as the readings on the monitors began to stabilize, almost dancing back into a rhythm. Each steadying beep felt like a heartbeat of the entire room. Then a small sound, a weak but familiar whistle, escaped from deep within Lily. Tom's breath caught. "Lily," he called, tears pooling in his eyes again. The nurse nodded, still monitoring the vitals. "She's fighting, Mr. Lane. Be there for her. Talk to her." Tom leaned closer, his heart spilling over with love and fear. "Lily, we're here. You're not alone. Remember, you have me. You have all of us." For a brief moment, it was as if the room held its breath. Everyone was holding on, waiting. Then, just when despair threatened to take hold again, Lily's eyes fluttered open. A slow, painful blink. They were glassy, but they were there. "Tom?" The whisper came out raw and broken, yet it filled the room with an almost tangible energy. Lily's voice was hoarse but real. Tom grasped her hand tighter, feeling the warmth slowly return. "Yes, it's me. I'm right here. Just keep talking, okay?" Tom launched into stories, weaving words around her fragile state, anchoring her to this life, this moment. He spoke of the little things, the way they used to dance in the kitchen, the taste of her favorite ice cream on a hot summer day, the silly jokes that made her smile. The memories flowed from him like a river, alive and vibrant. Suddenly the door swung open, and Lily's mother rushed in, eyes wide and hopeful. "What's happening? Is she—" "She's back," Mike exclaimed, his grin breaking through the tension in the room. "Lily just opened her eyes. She's fighting." A wave of relief settled over them, but it was bittersweet. Tom could see the worry still etched on Lily's mother's face. He felt the weight of reality creeping back through the cracks of hope. "Lily," her mum said softly, kneeling beside the bed, "can you hear me? I'm so proud of you." At that moment, a flicker of recognition sparked in Lily's eyes. "Mum," she croaked, and the word breathed life into the space. Tears streamed down her mother's cheeks, mingling with the elation that lit the room. "Yes, sweetheart, it's me. You're safe." As laughter and tears mixed, filling the sterile air, Tom realized there was still a long way to go. But at least they had this moment, the warmth of connection, the pulse of life, and the strength of their love surrounding them like a shield. But just as he started to feel the fragility begin to solidify into something stronger, the nurse's expression shifted again. She grabbed her radio, urgency returning. "Code Blue, I need backup in here." The moment shattered like glass, and Tom's heart plummeted once more. Could this fight ever truly end? Tom felt his world disintegrate again, the fragile moment they had just celebrated slipping through his fingers like sand. The nurse's voice echoed in the room, slicing through the joy like a knife. "Code Blue." Panic erupted in his chest, and he clutched Lily's hand tighter, wishing his grip alone could shield her from whatever darkness lay ahead. "Stay strong, Lily, you're a fighter," he shouted, desperation bubbling in his throat. But deep down he felt the dread settle in again. This was not how it was supposed to go. The room flooded with activity. More nurses rushed in, faces steady and determined, but to Tom they seemed like distant figures in a chaotic dance. He felt lost, like being swept away in a storm with no way to anchor himself. "Tom, step back," Mike urged, pulling him away from the bed. But Tom could neither focus nor bear to leave her side, lost in a whirlwind of emotions and memories that threatened to take him under. "I can't lose her, Mike. Not now. Not like this." His voice cracked, revealing the terror. He watched the flurry of movements, the nurses working rhythmically around Lily, each action a desperate bid for life. But then something miraculous happened. Just as Tom felt himself spiraling further into despair, he thought of the community he had connected with through this fight for light. Their stories of resilience flowed through him like a current, charging him with strength he didn't know he had. He remembered Clara's words, the promise the art they created had held, not just for themselves but for everyone. They weren't just fighting for Lily, they were fighting for every parent grappling with the shadows, for every child hoping to see another sunrise. "I have to fight for Lily and everyone else," he proclaimed, looking at Mike, who was watching him with fierce resolve. "We've built something bigger than ourselves. I can't give up now, especially when she needs me the most." Determined, Tom felt a warmth surge within him, igniting a sense of purpose. "We need to keep the movement going. People need to see this. They need to know hope exists, even in the darkest moments." With newfound determination, he pulled out his phone and began typing a message. The words flowed freely, filled with raw emotion and a longing for connection. Fight for Light is more than a story. It's a lifeline for all those fighting battles we can't see. Lily is fighting for her life, and together we can send her every ounce of love and hope we have. As he hit send, an unexpected flood of notifications surged in almost immediately. Hearts, comments, and messages from friends and followers alike, an outpouring of love and support that made the room feel warmer. The nurses were still working fervently, but there was a shift in the energy. Tom held tight onto Lily's hand, whispering all the love he had for her, the dreams they shared, everything that filled their lives with sunshine. Through it all, something shifted. Her fingers twitched again. A gentle spark flickered in her eyes. "Tom," she whispered, her voice faint but clear, breaking through the medical noise with an undeniable power. "Lily!" he exclaimed, tears streaming down his face, pooling with hope. "You're here. Fight for us. Just keep fighting, okay?" And for the first time since the alarms blared, Tom sensed the tide turning. The nurses paused, glancing at each other, a flicker of shared hope passing through them. "Lily, we're all here," Mike said, his voice steady, his eyes shining. "You have people all around the world who are fighting with you. You're not alone." As the difficult moments continued to unfold, Lily's presence anchored them all. Tom's heart felt buoyed, knowing that, regardless of the challenges, they had a community behind them. Strangers transformed into family by shared struggles and the power of stories. And in that moment, as Tom held her hand, the pace of the monitors began to stabilize, the frenzy abating into a gentle hum. Was this a sign of hope emerging from the ashes? Before long, the doctor re-entered, eyes glimmering with cautious optimism. "We're seeing steady improvements in her vitals. It looks like she's responding positively, but we have to stay vigilant." Relief washed over Tom like a wave. With each passing second, Lily fought her way back, and they would fight with her. "We're going to make it through," Tom whispered, the promise hanging heavily in the air, filled with meaning, love, and the power of resilience. As they embraced what was to come, Tom realized this journey had brought them closer, not just to each other, but to an entire community willing to share in their fight. "Let's keep sharing our stories," he proposed boldly, determination lifting his spirit. "Let's create spaces where hope can thrive." Mike nodded in agreement, excitement sparking in his eyes. "Together, let's amplify this and reach even more people." And as the day unfolded into a picture of resilience, light began to creep into the hospital room, illuminating the walls adorned with the echoes of their love, showing that even in despair, hope had the power to shine through. This was not the end. It was just the beginning of their story, one painted in strokes of love, healing, and an unwavering fight for light. And it was time to share it with the world. So now I urge you, if you believe in the power of stories, subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure that stories of hope continue to be shared. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voices matter here. And above all, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and trust me, Only true fans understand the importance of keeping this light shining. Don't wait not even one more second to share.